Welcome back to Just Scrap Radio on BJPenn.com. I'm your host Cole Shelton, episode 157. We got a good line here out of UFC Vegas 88. First up, we're joined by one half of the co-main event, Bryan Battle, previous fight against Angelusa. A bit of a unique interview here, talking to Bryan at the hospital while his wife was about to give birth to their baby. So it was interesting. Bryan, he apologized for it. There were times where he just had to kind of take a break, talk to the nurse, but really appreciate Bryan for squeezing me in. As obviously, that was a big day for him, but good chat with Bryan as always, talk about the fight and kind of getting this big spotlight on a co-main event on a big card, 2-fight winning streak, 2 finishes. He knows the win over Angelusa. He can get right near those welterweight rankings. And then we close things out talking to my fellow Canadian Chad Anheliger, the previous fight against Charlupus Gregorio. Chad knows this is do or die for his UFC career. 2-fight losing streak, 4th fight in the UFC deal, fighting out his contract, but he really likes a style matchup. He knows he's an underdog. He doesn't care about that as he thinks he can get a finish, get re-signed, and get on one of these Canadian cards really soon. But be sure to share the show, subscribe, and tune in next week for another episode of Just Scrap Radio. All right, we're joined by UFC welterweight Bryan Battle, who's back in action in March. Bryan, how's it going, man?
Man, it's going great, brother. Thank you for having me in here today.
Yeah, back-to-back wins for you, like 2 finishes. Were you surprised it took this long to get you booked? I thought maybe after another finish like that, you'd get in there a bit sooner than this.
I was anticipate. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, now I've been in the UFC long enough to kind of understand that sometimes more often than not, matchmaking is gonna happen when it happens. It's like it's not on your time; it's on their time. So, and I had a vet of the game. Talking to Alex Morono when I was helping corner my teammate in Houston for the Fury card, and he was like, yeah, I feel like they generally book people every X amount of months. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
X amount of months cycle. And when he said that, and I did the math, I was like, yeah, I think you're about right. So I would have loved to have got in there before December, but yeah, no, that's it's just part of the game. I've been grinding, getting better. So it's whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm not pushing to get the opportunities when I want them, but when the opportunities pop up, I'm gonna be ready to take advantage of them.
And then back at the Apex though, like, was that a bit frustrating for you to be back there with no fans?
I mean, like, after the last fight, I made a big post, King of the Apex, everything like that. Um, Man, like after I win this fight, you know what I'm saying? You tally up those tough fights, I'll definitely um have the most wins inside the Apex. And yeah, no, I won't lie. Like it was definitely I wanted to be on the Atlantic City card. I got some family in New Jersey, so I was actually kind of pushing to be on that card. But once again, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm just gonna keep on winning. So all those things I want are gonna come in due time. I just have to stay faithful to the grind, stay faithful to the game, and keep on improving. And I'm not gonna push for things to happen when they're not supposed to happen. When it's supposed to happen, it'll happen. And the people want to see me outside the Apex more than I want to be outside the Apex. So that's one of the things. I think there's when it got announced that it was in the Apex. As much as I was a little disappointed, it sounded like the fans were even more disappointed because they want to
Mhm.
be able to come see the butcher without having to drop over $1,000 to get into the Apex. You know what I mean?
And with Angelusa, like, how familiar were you with him as when you got the call to fight him?
Well, and it's funny, right? Because I'm at the stage where a lot of the guys I get matched up with, I have to look them up right after I get matched up with them because yeah, like they're guys who just new in the UFC, probably like 2 or 3 fights. Anj, I had just happened, because he fought AJ, so I watched that fight a lot, getting ready for AJ, so I was familiar with him. When it got matched up, obviously I've become a lot more familiar with him since then. Um, and so it's somebody that I think he's a lot better than his record shows. He's a lot better than where his I guess his place is currently in the greater welterweight landscape. So I'm excited to go on, put on a show, and really make a statement against this guy. You know what I mean?
How do you think you match up against him?
I match up amazingly. I mean, and I feel like I match up amazingly against everybody. But obviously, he's super super athletic, super explosive, and really technically sound. I mean, there's really not a whole lot of like actual holes in his game. Um, with that being said, I think I'm just better than him everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's not like necessarily holes to exploit. It's just going to be a fact of me just going in there and just being a better fighter than he is, and making him crumble. It's something I got circled is in his professional career, he's never been stopped. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he hasn't got to finishing ages, but he also hasn't been stopped ever. So that's something I'm really looking forward to. Being the first person to stop him. You know what I mean? So, and not just stop him, but like stop him in an emphatic fashion. You know what I'm saying? Like leaving no doubt that the people need to see me, leaving no doubt that I need to be at the top of cards and that I need to be fighting primetime talent. You know what I mean?
And you just quick on your last fight, like just making the weight, like how big of a relief was that just to shut up all those people? Because he missed weight once. Aaron's like, oh yeah, see, he was never a welterweight. He should go back up to middleweight just to like kind of prove it again and not do what you did with Gabe and like take it on short notice and everything. Like how big of a relief was that for you?
Well, it wasn't even really a relief because it was just something where like I made mistakes doing the weight cut going into Gabe. Like I was in a perfect going into that week. I was in perfect range. You know what I'm saying? I was probably even a little bit lighter going into the Gabe fight than I was going into the AJ fight. It was just there was I took some things for granted. I thought as long as I had water in my body would push out the water, and you know I switched up my routine a little bit. It came in and bit me in the butt, and it was just like, okay, look, this is where, and it was all on me. You know what I'm saying? It's not even something where I can point at other people on my team or things like that. It was all on me. So, yeah, no, it was just. Oh, just a second. I'm at the hospital right now with my old lady. We just had a baby, so.
Oh, nice, congrats.
Yeah. I was trying to squeeze this in real quick.
Yeah, I'll.
We cover it for you. Okay. Has she eaten recently? She has.
Yeah, we just had another baby, so
Oh, congrats, man.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Yeah, she was supposed to. She wasn't due today, but she popped up on us, and it was crazy. So, so put one more thing for me to fight for. You know what I'm saying? In the motivation packet. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go crazy in this fight for my little princess. You know what I mean?
Like just kind of building off that, and like how much motivation does that give you? Like just kind of obviously more wins in the UFC, more money, like going for bonuses now to kind of set them up. Like how much motivation does that give you then?
Well, I mean, it's the fight game is crazy because it's like I'm getting to the point where I've been fighting for most of my adult life at this point, and who I am as a person and my reasons for doing things, especially as a fighter, not completely has changed, but it's changed a little bit. When I first got into the game, I was single, young, you know what I'm saying? It was a bucket list thing. It was just something I was passionate about. And now it's like I'm blessed because not only can I continue my dream, continue doing something I'm passionate about, but I have the opportunity to, make a good living for my family, you know what I'm saying? And not only that, but set an example, all the other things that come with it, you know what I'm saying? Being an inspiration for people from this area, you know what I mean? And, every time you have a kid, it helps you stay hungry, I guess I would say. Like, and it's tough. There's definitely a battle because you want to spend more time with your family. I'd say that's the toughest part about it is when you're single, it's easy just to train all the time because you know what else are you doing? Like, you're either definitely doing something like partying or whatever, or you're training and doing what you're supposed to. But when you do have a family, there is like that part of you that is just like, I just want to be home with my family. You know what I'm saying? I just want to be here with my kids. You know what I mean? But with that being said, it's like the life that you can provide for them as long as you keep on working and grinding and getting better and going out and executing is just like, all right, you know what I'm saying? This is what we got to do. This is what we got to make happen.
With Abs, like you kind of mentioned a bit earlier that he hasn't been finished. Like, how do you kind of see it playing out? Like, I know you said you want to be the first guy, but how do you kind of see that playing out?
I don't think the fight will get out of the second round, in my humble opinion. And it can go a variety of ways. You know what I'm saying? Like, we watch tape. You know, I've watched a lot of tape on him. You know, um, like I said, it's not like something where it's like I'm trying to exploit something. Um, it's just I feel like I'm better than him everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like if he chooses to stay on the feet, you know what I'm saying, it might not get out the first round. I'm pretty confident, especially after watching his tape, he's going to be shooting. You know what I'm saying? His shot's gotten a lot better. His wrestling's gotten a lot better. So, you know, if we end up grappling, you know, like I said, his wrestling solid. His actual jujitsu game doesn't look amazing or crazy or anything. You know what I'm saying? I haven't really got to see him defend very many submissions, but you know, if he wants to grapple, you know, that's not an easy way out. You know what I'm saying? It's not less dangerous being with me on the feet. You know what I'm saying? But I am going to come out with heavy pressure. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be, you know, dancing around, making him chase me and whatnot, throwing big shots, forcing him to take a shot. And then, you know, especially if I start stuffing those shots, you can really see him start to crumble. You know what I mean?
Well, what do you think a win here does for you in this division? Like it would be 3 straight wins, like 4-1 now, I would guess would be a
That would
welterweight.
make me 6-1. Oh,
Yeah,
at welterweight,
yeah, 4-1 at welterweight, 6-1 in the UFC. Like, so where do you think? Like, you're getting pretty close to fighting those guys near the rankings, I think.
I mean, honestly, I think I would have been justified to have someone between, you know, 15 and 12 for this fight. You know what I'm saying? They got Mike Mallet fighting Neil Magny, and he's 3-0 with 3 finishes. You know what I'm saying? I got more wins, more finishes. You know what I mean? You know, they're putting people in the game and whatnot, you know. And so once again, you know, you try not to get too caught up on those things, but for sure, if I go out there and I do something emphatic against this guy, you know, I feel like I'm putting them in a position where they have to, you know, I mean, I was complaining because I thought I was in the prelims. I think I might be the co-main event right now. I know my position of on the fight card changes all the time on ESPN, but yeah, no, it's like I'm becoming prime time. You know what I'm saying? I'm becoming you know, someone that people want to see. You know what I'm saying? The demand for the butcher is growing more and more with each impressive performance. So it's like that's just on me to go out there and keep on putting on impressive performances. You know what I mean? And you know, if I got to be a little bit more vocal, I'll be a little bit more vocal. You know what I'm saying? I'm going out here and I'm killing these dudes already. You know what I'm saying? If y'all want me to tell them that I'm going to kill them before I kill them, I can do that too. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to be cool, but you know, it's time to get this party going. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to make things happen.
Yeah, I just checked quickly. ESPN, unless he was the co-main, but like I know those things can kind of change.
They change. I'm trying not to get too excited.
Just
excited.
final thing though, like what is the goal for you this year?
The goal for this year, I mean, is to be a contender by the end of the year. You know what I'm saying? At the very least, is to be looked at as a contender. You know what I'm saying? For everyone to be like, all right, Bryan Battle, he is a threat to win the welterweight title. You know what I'm saying? Especially when I watch these guys in the rankings fight, there's no one I don't think I can beat right now. You know what I'm saying? All the way up and down the rankings. There's no one I think is better than me over the course of 15 or 25 minutes. So, and so that's how I feel. So I just got to go impose my will on these guys and impose that idea on the MMA community so that they also see me in the same light that I see myself. You know what I'm saying? See me as dangerous as I see myself being dangerous. You know.
Well, Brian, I appreciate the time as always. Thanks so much for doing this again.
Hey, thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man.
All right, we're joined by UFC bantamweight Chad Anheliger, who's back in action on March 16th. Chad, how's it going, man?
Back is great, man. Things are good.
Obviously, last fight like didn't go your way. Like, what do you kind of take away from that? Because you're coming back from a bit of a layoff there. Like, what do you kind of take away from that performance?
You know, it was really frustrating. I just didn't feel great, didn't fight great, and it showed. And he took advantage. I'm not sure what was wrong there, but you know, fight day, I just didn't have a great fight. My energy felt low. I was, you know, not really executing on the game plan very well. And this is all props to my opponent. He made these things happen. But yeah, it just I felt like crap in there, and I was tired for the first time pretty much in my career ever. I was sitting in between rounds, and this is the first time I've ever been that tired. Felt like I couldn't lift my arms, and you know, he worked real hard and never settled, and it wore me out, and he was able to get the finish. So I'm super frustrated. I know I'm a lot better. I just fought badly, and it cost me.
Do you think that was because of the layoff then a bit?
Yes and no. For sure, it's part of it. For sure, it's part of it. I definitely wouldn't write the whole thing off to that, but I think it was part of it, and it was also the game plan. I wanted to show off some wrestling in that fight, and I was able to, but I was a little too stubborn on it. I was a little too stuck on it, and yeah, it just didn't let me feel as comfortable as I usually feel in there, and just was a really off night. It was really frustrating.
And then this one, like, was this about the right time frame for you? Like 4 months after your last fight?
Yeah, everything lined up great. Like I got a great offer. Like the timeline was good, the opponent was good. So yeah, all systems were go. I mean, there was no reason not to take it. So
How familiar are you with him, like making his UFC debut here?
I didn't know who he was before, but looked him up a little bit, and he definitely has some striking accolades, um, and not a ton of MMA experience. So that's kind of why the fight I think looks real good for me matchup wise. I think my experience in the cage is really going to help.
Uh, it's kind of similar to a lot of your fights. He does have like this massive reach range. I think it's like 11, 12 inches. Like, how do you kind of, I know it's something you deal with a lot, but that is a pretty sizable one. So, like, how do you kind of deal with that, do you think?
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it. I fight guys bigger than me all the time. I've got lots of options for that. I can actually turn something like that into a positive for myself. So yeah, just another thing. I'm not worried about it.
How much pressure is on you going in this one? Like, 2 fight losing streak. I know most of the contracts run 4 fights. Like, is this kind of like, do you think this is kind of do or die for you?
Definitely is, and I'm treating it that way. So I need to win if I want to stay doing what I love to do and having the best job in the world with the UFC. So I am putting everything, all resources, leaving no stone unturned. I'm gonna make sure I do whatever is in my power to get that victory. I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving Vegas with a loss like that. I'm definitely gonna win.
Do you think the Apex does favor you here with the smaller octagon? Like, just being like probably the more better wrestler than he is and just like trying to close that distance easier?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it could. I haven't really thought about it that much versus the bigger octagon versus, but I know he strikes, but he's not a better striker. So yeah, I don't know. The small octagon works fine for me.
Like you kind of said, he doesn't have a whole lot of MA experience. Like, how do you think that benefits you? Or you've kind of seen a whole bunch of different styles and been in there with some of the top guys.
Yeah, I really plan on leaning into that experience. I plan on putting some pressure on him. I'm going to be more comfortable. I've been in there with really good strikers, really good grapplers. I've been in there with everybody at this point, and I don't think he's seen the same competition. So it's going to be some new territory for him, especially somebody like me. I know he's never fought somebody like me, and I really look forward to making him deal with that.
Uh, who are kind of the main guys you're working with for this one?
All the stable guys at Champions Creed, Hakeem, Nick LeBlanc, Ramil. I got a whole bunch of younger guys too that are good size and good partners for me, like Ethan and Jan. There's some amateur guys that are really good partners. Noah Ali, he's a really
Mhm.
solid partner for me, similar size. And even for this fight, I think his striking styles works really well. So I get lots of good work with him. And yeah, I got all I can handle for sure at Champions Creed.
How beneficial is Hakeem for this camp? Like, just being like that long, rangy striker. Like, I imagine Hakeem's a better striker than he is, and like, yeah, he has the reach like him. Like, how beneficial will he be for this one?
That's such an awesome person to have on your team because that's the case always. It's like if you're fighting somebody that's a striker, you just always know, well, he's not going to be as good as Akeem or as strong and fast as Akeem. And yeah, Akeem's such a good training partner that way. So yeah, I get lots of confidence from working with him.
How do you kind of see this one playing out then?
I'm going to wear him out. I'm really going to start to take it to him on the feet, and he's not going to have any other options because his wrestling, jiu-jitsu isn't going to work against me. So he's going to be kind of hung out to dry, and I'm going to end up taking him out. So I'm going to tire him out, take him out, and I think I'm going to be able to knock this guy out.
Do you think like just after you get like the first couple takedowns and like you can hold him down, like that'll really kind of hurt his confidence quite a bit that he just knows that he can't really get up and like it is going to be a long night for him?
That's part of the plan. That's part of that experience I want to lean into because I know what that feeling does to guys when you really start to take it to them in all areas, show them they don't have any options, and whittle his confidence down, and yeah, start showing them the door.
What do you think a win here does for you? Like, obviously saves your job, but like, where do you think that kind of puts you in the division?
I need to just get this win. I need to make sure that I am showing that I belong here with these best guys. But I do think that there is some pressure to fight well. I don't want to just sneak out a win, even if my wrestling and grappling is doing well. I still want to put on an exciting fight, whatever that means, whatever that takes, whether it's grappling or striking. This is fighting and it's also entertainment. So I need to keep my job, and I think I really need to use this as an opportunity to show everybody what I'm really made of. So I'm expecting an exciting fight and a big finish.
So do you kind of think you still need not just to win, like you need to make it pretty dominant or exciting to like even still get re-signed after this?
I wouldn't say need, but that's what I want. I don't want to be putting myself in these positions where I feel this pressure to win going into the fight, because I don't want it to influence how I fight. I still want to be exciting. I still want to, try and be as wild as I can, make it as fun as I can. But I'm definitely, I definitely need to make sure I get that win, kind of get that little safety behind me again. But the UFC has been good to me. They've been good to me for every fight. Um, I fight exciting, fight my hardest, and they reward it. So I'm sure it'll be the same for this.
How much do you reflect on like that beginning of your career where like your back was against the wall, like there's like what were you like 2-5, 2-6, like kind of similar spot here where you're like obviously it's a much bigger stage, but you've kind of been here before. Your back was against the wall.
Yeah, a lot of my coaches and teammates, family, they're all kind of saying the same thing, that this is where I do my best work. It always is. When the pressure's highest, I'm going to be able to go out there and really perform. I love being, counted out. I actually kind of feel similar. This fight feels to like my Contender Series fight, where people didn't think I should have even had that fight, and I had a chance of winning it. And it just really motivates me to want to go out there and prove them wrong. And this is another opportunity to do that.
I know it's just at the Apex, but it is obviously still his debut. Like it isn't in front of Soul Arena. Like, do you think there could be some like octagon jitters there for him, or do you think because it's like with that smaller crowd, like it isn't as much of a factor as maybe it used to be?
Yeah, it's definitely not the same factor. Like you don't get that same, overwhelming feeling when it's in the apex. So that won't really be there. But there is still, everybody has that pressure when you get in that first fight in the UFC. I mean, this is how people know you now. So who are you going to be? And there's definitely pressure there. So I'm again, this will be my 5th fight with the UFC, including my Contender Series, and it'll be my 20th pro fight. So I'm really going to be using that experience to put on a great fight.
What is kind of the goal then for you this year?
I definitely getting this win, getting re-signed, and I really, really plan to be active and be going back. So I'm already a couple weeks into the next camp, and just the fact that these fights are a little bit closer together than they've been, I already feel way better, sharper. It's much better for me. Even being older, I think it's even more important to make sure I'm staying in it and staying back-to-back fights. So that's going to be the game plan going forward: is get this win, get another one, get re-signed, and get another fight on the books right away.
I know we talked about it in the past, but like after that second loss, was there ever a thought of like maybe I make that move back down to flyweight and kind of give myself a fresh start in the division, or was it always this fight was going to be at bantamweight?
I kept it as an option. Really, it's going to be. I have that as an option if there's the right opportunity for it. So if there was a great fight, or we get re-signed, and part of it is talking about maybe going down a division to whatever's going to push me for the biggest fights the fastest way. My experience so with my management too, they really believe the best fights are at 135 and the most opportunities are at 135. I have the capability of doing both, but there's pros and cons. I mean, I capitalize on the pros at 135, that I don't need to diet super hard. I don't have to cut super hard. I have high energy for the fight. But there's also a disadvantage of, the reach and the range I give up to a lot of these guys, where 125, the advantage is, I'm a little bit bigger. I'm not fighting as big a framed guys. But now I have to turn my life upside down with dieting and cut that weight real hard, to the point where it could even cause issues for fights. And it's just an extra stressor. So there's pros and cons to both. And so far, my experience, that I think the pros at 135 weigh out the pros at 125. So we're gonna keep riding it out for now.
I know after the Toronto event in January, Dana said like the plan is come to Canada a couple more times here. Like, is that kind of a goal then for you? Is like you kind of missed out on Vancouver and Toronto. Like, is that a goal then, is to get on one of those Canadian cards this year?
I already have it, in my mind, and my vision is that when I'm going to win, I'm going to get re-signed, and then I'm going to fight here in Calgary in the summer. I just have this feeling they're going to want to come back to Calgary, and I got to make sure I got to make sure I do my part, stay alive in the organization for that.
Well, Chad, that's all I had for you. Thanks so much for doing this again. I appreciate it as always.
You bet. Thanks.